This is continuous coverage.
Continuous coverage. Continuous coverage.
In the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers podcast.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Bruschi. This is our continuous audio coverage in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. We are on day number 2 of testimony in the trial. The day number does not include the jury selection days. We're just counting the days from opening arguments. Let's go to the courtroom now for our very first segment.
Okay, we're back on the record this morning on KCR 22-21-1624, State versus Lori Noreen Vallow. This is the time scheduled for continuing jury trial. The State's in its case in chief when we broke yesterday. I'll note that the prosecution is here present. The defense and defendant also are in attendance. This proceedings being held here in this courtroom, of course, subject to a conduct order that prohibits the use of any electronic devices from recording or photographing any images or transmitting them from the courtroom. In addition, in the locations where this trial is being simulcast in both Ada and Madison counties, the administrative order also prevents the use of devices for that reason as well, so they're not permitted to be used to record or photograph or transmit any sounds from the trial and the proceedings. So the court appreciates everyone complying with those courtroom orders. The court's also been advised the jurors are all here and have signed their affirmations, and so I understand the state would have another witness to call at this time. Is the state going to be prepared with the next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't we have the jury brought in then, and then you can call your next witness.
All right, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Please be seated. All right, as mentioned by the bailiff, the court would note all the jurors are here in attendance, properly seated, and they've also filled out their affirmations for the day. I appreciate you being able to do that and continuing to follow the court's admonition. I'd ask the state at this time to call their next witness.
The state calls Ray Hermosillo.
Sir, if you'd come forward and just pause in the middle of the gallery here, I'll have you placed under oath.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right. All right, thank you, officer. While you're being questioned, please remember we're keeping a record, so make verbal responses and try to avoid talking at the same time as anyone questioning you. With that in mind, Mr. Wood, you can inquire.
Thank you. Can you state your name and for the record and then spell your last name?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo.
Thank you. What is your occupation?
I'm a detective with the Rexburg Police Department.
Is detective your rank?
It is.
Okay. Are you post-certified?
I am. I have 22 years in law enforcement and 2,100 hours of training through post, and currently hold an advanced certificate through the Post Academy.
Okay. How long have you been a detective?
Oh, 4 years now.
Okay. And what other responsibilities have you held before you were a detective?
I was a patrolman and a patrol supervisor.
Okay. Have you worked for any law enforcement agency other than the Rexburg Police Department?
No, sir.
Okay. And you may have said this already, I apologize. How long have you been with the Rexburg Police Department?
22 years.
Okay. Have you been involved in the investigation regarding JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell?
I have.
Okay. How did you become involved in that investigation?
On November 1st, I was contacted initially by Fremont County. I was advised that there was a Jeep in our jurisdiction that was possibly involved in a attempted homicide. And at that time, I contacted Gilbert Police to inquire what they needed us to do in reference to that.
Okay. And what did you do in response to your conversation with Gilbert Police?
Once I obtained some information from Gilbert, they asked us to seize the Jeep if we had located it. They also asked us to perform intermittent surveillance on the residence. And so at that time, that's exactly what we did. We performed intermittent surveillance until we located the Jeep.
Okay. Can you describe what you saw during your intermittent surveillance?
We had taken some photographs of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow walking into the residence, but we were unable to locate the Jeep at that time.
When you say residence, where are you referring to?
565 Pioneer, number 175.
Okay. During your surveillance, did you ever see a teenage girl with Lori Vallow?
No, we did not.
During your surveillance, did you ever see a young boy with Lori Vallow?
No, we did not.
Okay. At the time you were doing the surveillance, were you aware of who JJ Vallow was?
Not at the time during the surveillance, no.
Okay. Were you aware of who Tylee Ryan was?
No.
So is it fair to say at that time you weren't looking for children?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective, when was the first time you heard of JJ Vallow?
Gilbert Police came down to Rexburg. Let me back up. We were able to seize the Jeep on November 4th from that residence. At that time, Gilbert Police was advised, and they came up to Rexburg on November 18th, 2019. At that time, they came up to serve a warrant on the infotainment center inside of that Jeep for GPS locations and things like that. When they came up, that's the first time we heard of Tylee Ryan or JJ Vallow, so November 18th, 2019.
Okay. And at that time, were you told that they were missing?
We weren't told they were missing. We were told that their grandmother, Kay Woodcock, was concerned that she hadn't spoken with JJ for a while. And they just asked us to keep an eye out at the residence. They said they were going to do some checking down in Arizona to see if JJ was possibly with friends down there. And if they needed us further, they would get with us at a later date.
Okay. Did they get with you at a later date?
They did.
When was that?
November 25th, 2019, I received a call from Detective Ryan Pillar. Ryan advised that they were unable to locate JJ in Arizona and that he was in contact with JJ's grandma and she wanted a welfare check. So at that point, we told Detective Pillar we would do a welfare check the next morning.
Okay. And you said that was November 25th, correct?
Correct.
So what did you do in response to that request from Detective Pillar?
The next morning, November 26th, 2019, myself and Detective Dave Hope went to 565 Pioneer, 175, which was Lori Vallow's residence. As we pulled up behind the residence, there's a garage area on the west side. Outside the garage area, we had located Alex Cox and Chad Daybell, who were unloading a pickup truck.
Okay. Did you speak with Alex Cox or Chad Daybell that day?
We did.
How did that conversation go?
I walked up to Alex, and I asked Alex if Lori was home. He told me she wasn't home. I then asked Alex if he knew where JJ was at. We were there to do a welfare check on JJ. At that point, Alex got a blank look on his face, kind of a frightened look, looked over at Chad Daybell, who was on the other side of the pickup truck. Chad then looked at Alex, and they both kind of just looked at each other and didn't answer my question initially.
Okay. What did you think about that conduct?
It raised some red flags just based on the way they acted with that question. I then again asked Alex if he knew where JJ was at, and he stated that JJ was with Kay in Louisiana.
What did you think of that response?
I told Alex that wasn't likely because Kay was the one who called in for the welfare check. And then again, they both kind of just looked at each other, which again raised our suspicions.
Okay. Did you speak with Chad Daybell at that time?
I personally didn't speak to Chad at that time, no.
Okay. What did you do next?
I asked Alex if there was a way I can get a hold of Lori. He stated she wasn't home. I asked Alex where I could find Lori, and he stated that she was in apartment 107 in the same complex, just a different apartment. That time I asked Alex if he had Lori's phone number, and he stated he didn't have it.
What did you think when he stated he didn't have her phone number?
I assumed he was lying because they were close, and based on our investigation thus far with Gilbert, we knew they were close. So I assumed he was lying to me about the not having his sister's phone number.
Okay. What did you do next?
At that time, myself and Detective Dave Hope went back to apartment 107 in hopes to make contact with Lori. We knocked on the door at 107, and there was no answer.
Okay. So you weren't able to make contact with anyone there?
Correct.
Okay. What happened after that?
Once we weren't able to make contact, Detective Hope began knocking on apartment doors next to 107. I started walking back to my car because I was going to call for more people to come to our location, start knocking on doors. And at that time, when I was walking back to my car, I saw Chad Daybell driving towards me in his black Chevy Equinox. So he had just left 175 and was headed our direction. And at that time, I stopped him in the alleyway.
And did you speak with him?
I did.
What did you ask him?
I asked Chad when was the last time he saw JJ. And Chad told me it was in October in apartment 107 with Lori Vallow.
Okay. Did you ask him anything else?
I did. I asked him how he knew Lori Vallow, and he stated that he hardly knew her, that he had only met her a couple of times.
Okay. What did you think about that response?
Sustained.
Okay. Was there anything suspicious to you about that response?
There was.
What was that?
We knew that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell had been married 2 weeks prior to my contact with him.
Okay. But he said he hardly knew her.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you ask Chad Daybell anything else?
I did. I asked Chad for her phone number, and he stated that he didn't know what it was.
Okay. What happened after that?
While I was speaking with Chad Daybell, Detective Hope saw me talking with him, stopped knocking on doors, and started back to where I was talking with him. As Detective Hope showed up, I again asked Chad Daybell for Lori's phone number because I didn't believe that he did not know it. And at that time, he finally gave me Lori's phone number.
Did he give you a reason why he hadn't given it originally?
He said that he felt like I was accusing him of something, and that's why he didn't give it to me.
Okay. What did you do at this point in your investigation?
I broke contact with Mr. Daybell. He was able to drive off. And at that point, I called Lieutenant Ron Ball, and I told him that there was something going on with the whereabouts of JJ. Based on the deception, the way they looked at each other, their non-evasive answers, their lies, I felt there was something more going on. So I called Lieutenant Ball and had him grab a few detectives and come over to our location so we can figure out what was going on.
Okay. And did Lieutenant Ball show up?
He did.
What did you do after that?
He showed up with Detective Dave Stubbs, and at that time we went and knocked on apartment 175, which was Lori Vallow's residence.
Okay. Did anyone answer?
No, they didn't.
What did you do next?
We knocked on apartment 174 because through our investigation we knew that her niece, Melanie Boudreau, lived right next to her, and we didn't get an answer there either.
Okay. What did you do after that?
At that time, Lieutenant Ball instructed me to go to the prosecutor's office to obtain a search warrant for those residents while they stayed on scene to try to get a hold of Lori, Alex, or even Melanie Boudreau.
Why did you feel the need to get a warrant?
At that time, we felt that there was something more going on with the whereabouts of JJ, and we weren't getting any cooperation from Chad Daybell or Alex Cox at that time.
Okay. Did you get a warrant that day?
We did not.
How come?
On our way to the prosecutor's office, Detective Hope, with the phone number that Chad provided, called Lori, left her a message. She didn't answer her phone. And once we were at the prosecutor's office, Lori Vallow then returned the phone call from Detective Hope, and Detective Hope spoke with her on the phone.
Okay. Do you know what happened after that?
He was able to convince Lori to open the door. She stated she was home, and there were detectives outside that wanted to speak with her.
Are you aware if Detective Ball and Stubbs spoke with Lori Vallow that day?
They did.
Do you know if they had a body cam recording that conversation?
They did.
Have you seen that body cam?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Based on your collective investigation, what did you learn?
I learned that Lori Vallow had told Detective Hope. Correction.
Objection, Your Honor. He's going to go into hearsay evidence, saying what Detective
I think
Hope
there
told
needs
her.
to be some additional foundation in what is going on. I didn't see a hearsay coming, but it seemed like a foundation issue to me.
Okay. So, Detective Hermosillo, I asked if you were aware if there was a body cam recording of that conversation.
There was.
And did you watch that body cam?
I did.
Did you speak with Detective Ball and Stubbs about their encounter with Lori Vallow?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is that a normal part of an investigation, to meet with other officers who are working the case?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is that something you regularly do in the course of an investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Based on your conversation and the video, what did you learn?
Lori Vallow told the detectives.
Objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay. Because he's learning it from. Well, I guess I'm not going to do a speaking objection, but if we want to do a sidebar, I can.
I'm going to overrule that at this point. I haven't heard hearsay come out. You can answer the question, officer.
Your Honor, if I could, will the court allow me to elaborate a little bit?
If you'd like to have additional voir dire on your objection, you can do that.
Okay. Well, I don't have any additional voir dire. Okay. Detective Hermosillo, are you basing your testimony on what you saw somebody else converse with the other detectives or the other officers?
I'm basing my testimony off what I saw on the video.
Okay. Judge, it's hearsay. It's somebody else speaking, and he's speaking for that person.
Let me have a brief sidebar with counsel. All right, the court had under advisement an objection made by the defense that the question was eliciting an improper hearsay response. I am going to sustain that objection, so I'd ask you to ask a different question this time, Mr. Wood.
Thank you. So, Detective Hermosillo, you did testify that you did watch body cam.
That's correct.
Okay. Based on what you saw, what next steps did you take in your investigation?
I contacted Detective Pillar with the Gilbert Police Department because we were unable to locate or substantiate where JJ was at that time. It was late evening and we still hadn't heard where JJ was at that time. At that time, I had Detective Ryan Pillar get a hold of Melanie Gibb to see if JJ was with Melanie Gibb, and he was not with Melanie Gibb.
So you were not that evening able to substantiate the location of JJ Vallow?
That's correct.
Okay. What did you do? What was the next step in your investigation?
The next step was the next morning, November 27th, 2019. We met at the prosecutor's office and obtained a search warrant for apartment 175, 174, and 107.
And what was the address of those locations again?
565 Pioneer, Rock Creek Townhomes.
Okay. Were you able to obtain those search warrants?
Yes, we were.
And did you search those apartments?
We did.
Okay, can you walk us through that? Which apartment did you search first?
We started with 175 first, which was Lori Vallow's apartment. When we initially went into apartment 175, they had to break down the front door, which was included in the search warrant. We went into apartment 175. There were couches, dishes in the sink, food in the pantry, food in the refrigerator. Upstairs there were beds, toiletries, everything that looked like someone had lived there, except for there were no clothes on the hangers. There were just empty hangers in all the closets. And so that caught our attention as well.
Were any people in there when you entered?
There was nobody in apartment 175 174 and 107 was completely vacant.
Okay. So you didn't locate JJ in apartment 175?
No.
Okay. Did you find any evidence that JJ had been there?
Yes, there were some toys on the front step. Appeared to be little boy scooters, toys. There was a little boy suitcase under the stairwell in apartment 175. There was also an older prescription prescribed to JJ Vallow of Risperidone that we located. But aside from that, there was nothing else.
Okay. Was there anything else of interest that you found in apartment 175?
There were several guns in the garage of 175, several different Army-type knives.
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Several different empty magazines for various weapons. So there were things of that nature in the garage that caught our eye.
Okay. Did you search any other buildings that was in apartment 175, correct?
Correct.
And then you searched apartment 174?
Correct.
And who did apartment 174 belong to?
Melanie Boudreau, who is Lori's niece.
And did you find JJ there?
No,
Were any individuals present when you searched that apartment?
there was not.
Okay. And you may have already stated this, I'm sorry. Did you search apartment 107?
We did.
What did you find in apartment 107?
It was completely vacant.
Okay. Did you search any other buildings that day?
We did. In apartment 175 in the master bedroom, there was a rental agreement for a storage unit in Rexburg. And on that rental agreement had Lori Ryan as the tenant of the storage unit, with the storage unit number being C52. It gave the address, self-storage on Airport Road in Rexburg. So based on that information, we were able to obtain another search warrant for the storage unit.
Okay, and what did you find there?
In the storage unit, there were some children's bikes, some winter clothing. There was a personalized blanket with photographs of JJ and Tylee, Colby Ryan, the defendant, Miss Vallow. Just family photographs that they kind of had sewn onto a blanket.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness be handed what's been marked as State's Exhibits 7A through 7K. The court has a copy. The court has a copy already.
You have the originals. I will switch you. I think I have the originals and those are copies, I'm told by the clerks.
Detective, can you take a minute and look through what's been marked as 7A through 7K and let me know when you're finished?
Okay.
Okay. Are you familiar with States Exhibits 7A through K?
Yes, I am.
What do those exhibits purport to be?
Photographs of the exterior and interior of apartment 175.
Okay. Were you there when those photos were taken?
I was.
Are those photos true and accurate representations of what you witnessed on the outside and inside of that apartment that day?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, the state would move for the admission of States Exhibits 7A through K into evidence.
Any objection?
May I have voir dire and aid?
You may.
So, Detective Hermosillo, you indicate that these photographs were taken during a search warrant?
That's correct.
Okay. And that search warrant was obtained on what date?
November 27th, 2019.
Okay. And that was, what were you looking for?
JJ Vallow.
Okay. And you believe that a crime was committed and that's why you busted down the door?
Objection relevance.
We're outside of the scope of the foundation. If there's an objection for these photographs, how does it relate, Mr. Thomas?
I'm going to object to photograph number 7J, as I believe it's inflammatory and doesn't have any, not within the scope of what they were looking for. Other than that, I won't object to any of the others.
Okay. Court's reviewed the photograph of 7J. Officer, were those items there when the warrant was served?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The objection's overruled, and the photographs 7A through 7K are all admitted into evidence at this time.
Can you describe what's in States Exhibit 7A?
That is the front door of apartment 175 facing westbound.
Okay. And is that the apartment, to your knowledge and investigation, that Lori Vallow was living in?
That's correct.
Okay. And is that the door you knocked on that morning?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I apologize. I didn't ask if I could publish these to the jury.
Okay. They can be published. They're admitted.
Detective, can you describe what's in States Exhibit 7B?
That is the front room of apartment 175, standing at the front door entry, looking towards the living room and the dining area.
Can you describe what's in States Exhibit 7C?
That's also the front room, standing in the dining area, looking towards the front door and the stairwell going upstairs.
Okay. Can you describe what's in State's Exhibit 7D?
So the photograph just before, there's a white little door.
If you'll give us just a moment, Counsel, we're going to dim the lights a little bit so
Thank
that
you.
they can be seen better. Thank you.
Can you put the previous photograph back on? Perfect. So just below the TV on the stairwell, there's a white little door that is a crawl space that goes under the stairs. The next photograph with the Star Wars suitcase, that's where we located the Star Wars suitcase. There was also 3 or 4 or 5 preparedness bags with emergency kits under the stairwell, and that's what the black and green bag is there next to the Star Wars suitcase.
Okay. When you say a preparedness bag, what was in it?
Oh, there was water, flares, I believe there were MRE food, just like a 72-hour kit is the best way to describe it.
Okay. Can you describe State's Exhibit 7E?
That is a photograph standing at the top of the stairwell, looking down towards the bottom floor.
In State's Exhibit 7F.
This is a photograph of the master bedroom. The doorway to the right leads down the hallway to 2 separate bedrooms. The doorway to the left is a doorway into the master bathroom and towards the closet area.
Detective, I'm going to skip ahead to State's Exhibit 7H. Can you describe that? What you observed there?
This is the master bedroom closet. This is what caught our attention. All the blank, empty hangers hanging in the closet. There are no clothes. There's a towel hanging on the back door, but there are no clothes. Normally when people go on trips and plan to come home, they don't take all their belongings out of their closet. There's still some items that usually remain. And this caught our attention because there was nothing in that closet other than empty hangers.
Can you describe what's in State's Exhibit 7I and where that was located?
This was a bedroom off the hallway to the north side. There were some of Alex Cox's belongings found in this bedroom.
Okay. How did you know they were Alex Cox's?
It had his name on some of the items in a plastic tub in the closet.
Okay. Can you describe what's in State's Exhibit 7J?
That is also in Alex Cox's room. There was a couple Tyvek suits that were also in the closet. There's the plastic tub that I just described earlier that had some of Alex's belongings inside that tub in the closet.
Okay. Detective, can you describe what's been marked as State's Exhibit 7G?
That's the rental agreement we located in Lori Vallow's master bedroom on the printer. It has Lori Ryan on the left side is the tenant or the owner of that storage. It also gives a phone number.
What is that phone number?
I can't see it from...
Is there a way to zoom in on this?
hand the exhibit to the witness if he can.
That's not very clear. Can you hand the witness?
Thank you, sir. You want the phone number?
Yes, what is that phone number?
480-692-9562.
9562.
Yes, ma'am.
And you stated that the contract was with Lori Ryan?
That's correct.
Through your investigation, are you aware if Lori Vallow's name was ever Lori Ryan?
Yes, it was.
How do you know that?
Through our investigation, we learned she was married to Joe Ryan.
And was that before she was married to Charles Vallow?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. One moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed what's been marked as State's Exhibit 8A through Q.
Again, I believe I have the originals here from the clerk, so sorry to confuse, but we'll swap those copies.
Your Honor, that the originals, I realize there's a sticker on both, but the originals were the ones handed to the detective, and that's the court's copy that the court has.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that, Mr. Wood, then.
Detective, can you look through State's Exhibit A through Q and let me know when you're done?
Good.
Are you familiar with State's Exhibit A through Q?
Yes, I am.
What do those exhibits purport to be?
These are items that were found in the garage of apartment 175.
Okay, are they photographs of those items?
They are photographs.
And is this the same garage that you testified to searching earlier?
Yes, it is.
In Exhibits 8A through Q, are those true and accurate representations of what you witnessed in that garage that day?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, I'd ask that State's Exhibits A through Q be entered into evidence.
Any objection?
If I may voir dire, Judge.
You may.
Thank you. Exhibit A, is that how these photographs are staged, so to speak? I mean, this is not how you found the garage, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so were you involved in, and that's A through D are the ones that are in the garage, right?
All of them are in the garage except for 8E and 8F. Everything else was photographed inside the garage.
Okay. So E and F were not in the garage, correct?
That photograph of 8E,
Yes. Was not taken in the garage.
that's correct.
And 8F was not taken in the garage.
That's correct.
Okay. And as I indicated earlier, these photographs were staged. They weren't just. This is not how you found the stuff, right?
No, they were in tubs and bags, and we emptied those tubs and bags out to get a better photograph of what was inside of them.
Okay. I have no objection to the admission of these photographs.
Okay. Exhibits A through Q are all admitted and they can be published.
Thank you. Detective, can you describe what you found in State's Exhibit 8A?
Again, this is the garage of 175. There were some tubs, you can see in the background, the black tub and the plastic tub that contain these items. They were taken out of the tubs and laid out. What this photograph of is a picture of a ghillie suit.
I'm going to stop you. Can you describe what a ghillie suit is?
A ghillie suit is something that you wear if you want to camouflage yourself. If you're laying out in a field, you put that over the top of you to blend in with the brush or whatever the environment is.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wood, could we get a spelling on that for the record? If the detective knows.
I don't.
Okay.
Your Honor, I believe it'sGhilli, but I could be incorrect.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Detective.
Several different magazines used to hold ammunition, different caliber of guns. There's also 2 suppressors or silencers that you use to put on the end of a gun to keep it quiet when it's fired. So that's what is laid out on the ground there.
Okay, thank you. Can you describe what was found in State's Exhibit 8B?
There were a couple black trash bags you can see in the photograph. They were full of clothing, some miscellaneous papers inside the bags. So we emptied the bags out and laid out the clothing on the garage floor and took a photograph of it.
Can you describe what you found in 8C?
This was also in a tub, several rounds of ammunition, different caliber of weapons, just a lot of ammunition in that specific tub.
Okay. You describe 8D, what you found in 8D.
8D was a rifle that we had found on the garage floor, or in the garage. The thing that caught our eye with the rifle was the end of the rifle is threaded for a silencer or a suppressor. So that was also photographed.
And this may seem like a silly question, but when you say the end of the rifle, what portion of the rifle are you talking about?
The barrel.
Okay. What were you observing in State's Exhibit 8E?
So the black rifle was the same one from the previous photograph, just laid down at the police department on a table. There was also another rifle inside of that bag, and that's the rifle you see above the black rifle.
Okay. State's Exhibit 8F.
That was the other rifle inside of that bag.
Can you describe what you see in State's Exhibit 8G, or what you observed?
Those were the 2 silencers or suppressors that we had located inside the garage.
Okay. What did you observe in State's Exhibit 8H?
Those were knives that were also located in the vicinity of the rifles as well.
Okay. State's Exhibit 8I.
That was also a handgun located inside the garage, in a tub just off to the right of where it's sitting.
What did you observe in State's Exhibit 8J?
That was a Halloween mask, it looks like. That was kind of on top of a plastic Walmart bag that's in the next photo.
What did you observe in State's Exhibit 8K?
So the Halloween mask was on top of this bag, and it had rope and duct tape inside that bag.
What did you observe in State's Exhibit 8L?
That is Alex Cox's passport that was located inside the garage.
Okay. Was that passport still active, to your knowledge?
It was.
Okay. What did you observe in State's Exhibit 8M?
So these were documents that we had located amongst the defendant Vallow's belongings, or what we assumed were her belongings inside the garage.
Were any of those documents in email?
They were emailed from in the upper left corner. Excuse me. Emailed from Chad Daybell.
Okay. (8N). What did you observe?
Those are some more of the documents from Chad Daybell.
Is it fair to say that these documents were laid out and then pictures taken, subsequent pictures taken in a row?
Correct. They weren't found that way. Yeah.
State's Exhibit 8O.
More of the same document.
Okay, thank you. What did you find on State's Exhibit 8P?
Those books were with the documents in the garage that appeared to be written by Chad Daybell.
And finally, State's Exhibit 8Q.
That was a cell phone that was also located in the garage.
Thank you. (8P). Like that. You've testified of the search of this apartment and the garage. What was the next step in your investigation?
The next step, we contacted the FBI. We were just trying to get a hold of the defendant, Vallow, and Chad. We were trying to locate the children. In speaking with family members, we spoke with Ryan, who was Lori's son. And at that time, he also stated that he hadn't spoken with his sister for a while. And so our search of JJ also started to encompass Tylee Ryan as well.
Did you ever try to contact Chad Daybell or Lori Vallow?
We did several times, but their phones were shut off.
Okay. At this time, were you aware of their location?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. And just to clarify, I'm speaking in the period shortly after the November search of the home.
Yes, at that time we didn't know where they were at.
Okay. Did you reach out to anyone else? Let me rephrase that. Did you contact family and friends?
Yeah, we contacted Ryan, contacted Lori's niece, Melanie Boudreau. We were contacting anybody that would listen to us or take our calls, trying to find the whereabouts of the kids.
Okay. During this time, did Lori Vallow ever call the Rexburg police to report missing children?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Detective, if I say NCMEC, do you know what that means?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
It's an acronym for National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Did you contact them?
We did. December 11th, we contacted NCMEC and entered JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan as missing and endangered children.
Okay. Did you ever alert the public that there was a search for JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
When was that?
That was December 20th, 2019. The police department gave a press release and tried to get those names out in public to assist us in any way we can, in any way they could. We also set up a tip hotline through NCMEC, through the FBI, and the Rexburg Police Department. So people with any tips or possible sightings of Tylee or JJ could call in, give us some information, and we would have officers or detectives follow up on each tip that came in.
This is continuous coverage
Continuous coverage.
in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers Podcast.
There is more to come. Keep it here, and we will keep you up to date with all of the audio raw from the courtroom in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. Stay with us.